Colt and I, after leaving T's room, looked to each other. We both knew the herd would not take a liking to any of this. From the time a herd member is born, it is taught the evils of anything of AI or similars, and they were not wrong for it. But if Colt's appearance were to change drastically, or our children's, which would be sooner, they would not just question it, but irrevocably seek out the answers for it. So there would need to be some safeguards in place when that came to pass. But as of right now, we would start the training. Colt kissed the top of my head. "It will be all right. I'll take care of it." I looked up to him. "You know, you don't have to do this alone. There's me and Abel and—" He smiled his familiar smile. "I am not worried by any of this. What will come will come. The most important thing is our children are safe, and for a small time we may have the upper hand on defeating Harlts. We will come through this together, my Snowfeather, but it is a duty of a stallion to take the brunt of it." I took a breath. "Abel is a stallion now, too." Colt nodded with a calmness. "Yes, and he must ready himself for all that may come for him as well." I knew what he meant. "Are you going to go speak to him now?" Colt nodded again. "Best not let it linger in the wind. Shall you come with me, or would you like to speak with Lavender on it?" I looked to Colt, never showing the signs of exhaustion. "Actually, I was thinking about checking in with Abira. We haven't seen him yet. I'd like to let him know all is well with our daughter." Colt nodded in understanding. "All right, perhaps we should spend the night in our room down here." I smiled. His eyes were full of fire with the thought, "That sounds nice, but I'm sure you have enough catching up to do. You've been gone for some time as a stallion, as well as the children will want to see you." Colt smiled. "You are more right than you know. You keep me well, my Snowfeather." I touched his face softly. "You have any idea how hard that is?" He shook the hair from his eyes. "It's even harder to listen." He whispered in my ear, kissing me on the lips before turning for the surface. Once he was out of sight, I turned. "Sorry." I whispered to myself, but I had to talk to Firefly before anything else. Then I would see Abira. I waited to be sure Colt had made it to the top before going to Firefly's door. I knocked twice while looking about. The door opened. "Well, there, 2 visits so close together? I wasn't expecting this. What is needed?" "May I come in?" "Certainly. Please come. Thank you." As I entered, I saw Abira stand. When had he found his way into here? He was holding to a cup of something or other. I looked to it suspiciously as Firefly poured me one. It was a off blue color and hot. Firefly poured in another mixture of herbs, and it turned pinkish, or maybe purple. "How pretty," I whispered, looking into the glass. "Yes, but sour and bitter," Abira smirked, taking a sip. Firefly turned harshly. "Not everything needs to be sweet and pretty. In fact, most beautiful things tend to be bitter." Abira said something under his breath as he took another sip. I couldn't hear it all, but I heard the part of "or poison" at the end. She shrugged him slightly as she looked to me. "Nevertheless, it is good for stress." Abira spoke up again. "It is good then you gave her a cup soon as she came in your room." Firefly slightly snorted as she took out a breath, ignoring him. "His words are meant to ease you, but I see you are nearly at the brim with worry. What is it?" She ushered me to sit. I took a sip. It was very sour and bitter. The herbs stuck to my throat as I coughed slightly. "It's just, when we talked earlier about Abel and his kids possibly having the wrong blood type and dying, what if our future children didn't have the right blood type? Would they be at risk for death as well?" Firefly looked me over. "Do you think you are with child?" I looked to her as Abira seemed to be holding his breath. "Well, no, it's—" "Dash it all!" Abira interrupted. "Firefly, just look to him. Quiet you." Clearly these two had an arguing streak about them, as I started again. "No, I just thought of it all and now I worry." Firefly looked to me calmly. "I will not lie to you, child. Yes, there is such a chance as this for your children, but there is peace for your mind once Colt has them under control. He can move them to more appropriate areas of his body than others, for small amounts of time, keeping your future children safe." I had been planning on teaching him this early on, as well as the old nanos will be destroyed, eventually, though I doubt you wish to wait years for it all. Abira looked to us. "Is there nothing else for them then till then, sheep's intestines?" I was blushing as Firefly spoke. A man should not speak on ladies' business so easily, but for it all the nanos would still break through. They are only meant not to harm human flesh. And on the other side of it, there is no sheep about here, only buffalo and goat, and often can cause health issues if done improperly, if they could even fit him. I was beet red, and wishing the talking to stop, all I heard was a blabber of things back and forth, till Abira put down his glass, taking me by the shoulder. You have to strong children. I was informed by Firefly of all the happenings after I left, and it goes to prove it, so it will be all right. And do not mix my words. I wish to know many grandchildren from you and my son. But perhaps for the time being things should stave for the time being. I looked to them both, as this was the first time they seemed to agree on anything. All I could do is blush and nod, looking to Firefly. What about me? Firefly smiled. You're a wonder, a rarity. Your blood makes them go dormant, and being self-preserving, they are flushed one way or another out of your system through a child or otherwise. But Lavender doesn't have my type of blood. Firefly looked dim to me. Yes, I know. But as many children as they have had, and Lavender being so healthy, I suspect Abel doesn't carry them. I looked to her. I knew I was somewhat on a ramble, but I needed to know it all. Couldn't you check his blood type to see? Firefly smiled. I do plan on doing so, but as I was starting to gather the supplies, someone knocked on my door. She side-eyed Abira as he looked to her. I was but asking if you needed of anything for your studies, dear lady. She looked to him. Yes, in fact, I do. I need you to go to the city and find me glass slides. What's that? Haven't I made enough trips to that wretched city? He wasn't wrong. Many people left. The ones who stayed were either helping clean it up or selling things like the last of the contaminated water illegally, and there just wasn't enough pressure, or tribes to keep them under thumb after the wolves went home. But many were fighting for what was right, but still it was a very off-putting place to be. I was never sure why my parents had actually stayed in their apartment, other than my mother was not one for the outdoors, and father wanted to not be seen in the herd as much as possible. And I wasn't one for visits. But if it would help Abel and Lavender's family, I would help Abira find what was needed. I can go tomorrow with Abira if I knew what we are looking for. Firefly nodded. That will do, but you have not had time to rest yourself. Perhaps you should find a room for a short time and rest, if only for a moment. Firefly wasn't wrong. My body was very tired, but it was more sick with worry. No, I'm fine. I just have a lot on my mind. I doubt I could sleep. Abira patted my shoulder. Well, you should go to the surface. The herd is full of life. It will keep your mind calmer there. I looked to Abira. It was Colt's idea you should meet my parents with Traveler. Abira nodded. If my son thinks this, then he must have his reasonings. I looked to Abira, clearly not happy about being with Traveler, following along. If I may ask, how are you and Traveler getting along? Abira rubbed his eyes a moment. I am doing my best to allow forgiveness to him, but there is still much there between us, but with time he shall be by my side fully again as my son wishes. I looked to him. I felt rather irritated, and he saw it. What, dear one? He asked as I gripped my cup hard with both hands, biting my tongue. Abira looked to my eyes. You can speak it. And so I did with some fury to my trembling voice. How dare you? I'm not following. He spoke in confusion, but I kept going. Don't you see? It shouldn't be because Colt wishes it, or even my words. It should because you wish it. It can't be if it's just for Colt. Don't you see? You're putting it all on Colt, the way you're thinking it's childish. He is your brother. Was there any time that you cared, loved for your brother, or was it always because someone else told you to? Abira spoke softly to me, removing his hand from my shoulder. It is not as easy as all that. Of course I loved my brother more than many know, but I love my son too. I looked to Abira. Then in your reality you should hate me as well. It was me that killed your father. I gritted my teeth. Abira looked to Firefly, then to me. We have been through this. My father was a wondrous king, but as a bear he changed to something that could not be saved. You did him a justice to kill him before he harmed others. But still he was your father. Would you have not shed a tear for him, or what about Traveler if Colt would have killed him? Would you have just been fine with it? Abira thought a moment. I would have cried greatly for the loss of my brother, as well as my father, if I had been there at that time. But I would not have put blame to you or Colt for it. Then don't put blame on your brother. He never meant to hurt Colt, not truly. And you now still have a brother and a son. Your brother spoke to me so highly of you and all he did for you, but tell me, what in all those years have you done for him? Abira held his eyes, sitting down again, looking to the table. Oh, the words I wish I could find, but oh, how the darkness must be. But you are right. He has saved me many times since he has been a lion, outweighing the time I ran to the kingdom to fetch father to save him 100-fold. In truth, he keeps a part of the kingdom running that I cannot on my own. And yet little I have done for Traveler in return, and the one time he fails me greatly, I hold it against him to much so. Your words are strong as my son's. I think it is time I speak to my brother. You spoke words I needed to hear. Thank you, Vida. If it is all right with you, I would still like to come with you to your parents with Traveler. I nodded, unsure of what to say next, but Abira saw it. I hold nothing to you, Vida. You are wise in words. Do not fear them. Always speak them even to this old fool, and I will hear you. I nodded slightly, embarrassed of my outburst, but Colt had so much on him already to shoulder. Clearly, Abira was old enough to understand this. My mind felt so fast-paced, unsure of what I should do next. My mind was full of questions, but now that they were answered, my mind was filled with uncertainties as I shook myself back to the present moment. I looked to Firefly, searching for a pencil, which Abira watched, slightly smiling, pulling a small notebook and pen swiftly from his pocket. My lady, he caught her attention as she took them softly. Thank you, she replied, but there was some irritation in her words. Apparently Abira had been bring her whatever she was in need of, but even I was unsure exactly what she was needing. Firefly seemed irritated. Not just any glass will work. She flipped the notebook to an empty page near the back. Clearly she had kept him busy the last day or so, but why was he so eager to help her? Was it something to do with Colt? But I couldn't add those questions to my thoughts. I was overflowing, as it was with worry. These questions would just have to wait again, shaking myself to hear Firefly as she scribbled on the paper with the pen, irritated that she couldn't erase a mark on the paper, but she continued. Look, they are thin and rectangle. She outlined it with the pen again as she spoke, and as I looked to it with Abira, I looked to it carefully before speaking. I think my mother had some of these when I was a girl. I wonder if she would still have them, or know where we could find some. We can go tomorrow. Abira looked to it. Then it seems we will be heading to the right place tomorrow morning, then? I nodded in agreement as I went to the door. Abira opened it for me. I shall see you at first light, my dear one. With that, he shut the door behind me, and I could hear their murmurs already on the other side of the door. Clearly they were working on something. But what? I found my way through the tunnels. I knew the way like every path in the herd, but my mind was so fast, it was hard to keep my mind on each right turn. But I calmed myself, making it up to the surface, back to the top. Meeting up with Gretel in our cabin, after a few needed advices from other mares on colors to use for the winter coats, which was one of the few jobs as lead mare I enjoyed this year. I chose reds and blues. The year before was browns and greens. As I looked to Gretel, rocking our sweet Lyra with a bottle in hand, she stood as she saw me as I held out my arms for Lyra. She's a fine eater, this filly, she whispered as I smiled. She probably took that after me, I whispered. Gretel was one of few that had free run of it, so it was quite normal to find her preparing a meal or bottle for the children. She was walking to leave when I stopped her for a moment. Before you go, Gretel, I have a question. Yes, my mare, what is it? I looked to her. You called Lyra. Little Moon, why is that? Gretel looked slightly worried. I hope you do not misunderstand my words. Great mare, they are only through stories. Stories, I questioned. Yes, the one about the great stallion of the sun who shall defeat the evil, and of his sister the moon that will give him the shield of the night. Your daughter's pale skin reminds me of. It is all. I had heard many stories and legends, but though I had heard of the great stallion, never had I heard of the sister moon. But Gretel tended to be long-winded, and I needed to rest, so I looked to her. I see. I think it's sweet. You may call her as you wish. I find no harm in it. It is after all but a story. As it pleases you, great mare, and she left without another word. I looked about the hut. Everything was clean as always. I could see the work being done on the hut for Abel and Lavender next to ours. A few walls were already in place. Abednego was working quickly, as always, perhaps trying to beat the winter snows. It seemed like it was just winter moments ago, but that's how it seemed to be lately. I sat down with Lyra, rocking her. Your first steps shall be in the snow, won't they? Little one, we will have to make you some leather shoes. I kissed her foot as she giggled. I rocked her as I thought how Colt's talk with Abel must be going.